see turnip in the market, don't tell me b'mai koches rifte, with what will you eat bread, what will your main dish be? Buy the turnip. So we see that turnips are good to eat. Umar Abai, meblibusa. This refers to a turnip on its own. Turnips on their own, as we see from Rashi, have something in them that's too strong to eat. About Umar Abai, meblibusa, this is without meat. But with meat, you can eat turnips. Without wine. Pashtus, there's no machloikis here. There's no real machloikis here. And we see in the Gemara further on that there are three approaches to how to deal with the problem of turnips: either wine, meat, or more cooking, which the Gemara refers to as wood. That the Braisa means eating turnip without meat, but with meat you can eat turnips. Shmuel says without wood. In other words, without cooking, but with more cooking you can eat turnips. Without wine. Ruva said to Rav Papa, Sydney, beer brewer. We break the power of the turnip, the whatever the strong substance in the turnip is, with meat and wine. Aten, you, the lonufish lechi chamre, you do not have wine. Apparently, Ruva held that you need two of these. You don't drink wine. You come from a beer brewing region. The might of risala, what you break the turnip with, mitzivi, with wood, with more cooking. Kihu the visit the Rav Papa's wife, pused the mevashlo. After she cooked it, tavrilo, she broke it. I guess this means with more cooking. Betamna oife pasyusa, Rashi says with 8 logs, with a fire using 8 logs. Tuna rabuna. It says in the price da kuten maliach, a small salted fish. I'm not sure why the Gemara brings this here. Possibly because we mentioned the malus of eating whole small fish. Pumim shimaimis, sometimes it can kill a small cooked fish. This seems to be more of a in the mazikin because it has to do with numbers. Beshiva, this is in the 7th day of its salting. Beshiva usa, the 17th. Beshiva esram beshiva, the 27th. Amrila be'esram v'shloisha, the 23rd, which is, I'm assuming the point is 7 days before a full 30. V'lo yomrin. I have no idea. V'lo yomrin. No, it's salted. It's preserved. Apparently, this means when you're in the middle of the salting process. V'lo yomrin. This is only el b'matve. El b'matve v'lo matve. Sorry, when it's half fried. If it's fully fried, there's no sakuna. If it's not fully fried, this isn't said. Only if he doesn't drink beer after it. There is no problem if he drinks beer after it. Back to the halacha. It said in the Mishnah, and according to most Rishonim, that the machloikis is about a bucher Rishonim. We'll see that. That's the next piece of Gemara. But the Mishnah refers to a bucher for drinking water for his thirst. Lafike mai, as opposed to what? Lafike mai de genakte inte. As opposed to someone who chokes on a piece of meat. In other words, is choking and drinks water to get the food down his throat. And some machlokas are poskim to what extent this goes, but water does not have a bucher achroine, according to most poskim, when used just to get something down your throat or for or perhaps even for dryness of your throat. Only for thirst is there a bucher rishoine and achroine. Other drinks that actually have a flavor, you are mechir bebucher achroine no matter what you took, no matter what you drank it for, even if you drank it because you were choking, in which case you're obviously not mechir bebucher rishoine. Just drink. But you're mechir bebucher achroine because you benefited, you enjoyed whatever the flavor of that drink is, as opposed to water, which if you didn't drink it because you were thirsty, you feel no benefit from it as a food. So there was a machlokas in the Mishnah what bucher to make on water, and most Rishonim learn this means what bucher Rishonim to make, either boirer nefushes, or either shahakolim dvure, or boirer nefushes as a bucher Rishonim. Omar Ruve Gunan Habai, Va'amr Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef.
It's a different kind of a bracha than all the rest of them.
He's leaving out the fullness of the bracha. He's just giving you the words. He's not. He's a,
Right.
Hasn't it?
Bracha Rishina we're
Talking about bracha Rishina.
Not Achrayim.
Again, as Burchat Hashem, the kind of Melech Olam, Boyer Lefusha. Reb Tafel, according to most Rishonim, is referring to a Bracha Rishonim. Yeah. There are those that. Yeah, there are those that learn that he was referring to Bracha Rishonim, but Pashtus, there are kashas if it refers to a Bracha, if Reb Tafel is referring to Bracha Rishonim. Omar Reb Chunda Abaye, Omar Yosef, Hilchas Amai. Who do we paskin like? Omalai, pick Chazim my Amadova, see what people are noyig, and the Rishonim and the Goinim explain this means like our minig that we do. We say the Brucha like the first shit in the Mishnah, the Shakelim with Brucha, and we take Reb Tafel's Brucha to be the Brucha Achroin. Adon Allah Kaitzim Mevoch. To the next Mishnah. As an introduction, Bechazimin, what exactly the Mehis of Zimin is that you call other people, you invite other people to make a Brucha together. We see from Rasha this is more than Stam Shemaya Ka'oina. In the times of Chazal, usually only the person who had Zimin would bench, and other people would be Yotze B'Shmiyah, but they participate more in the Zimin beforehand by answering when he says we should bench, and they say we will bench. You're getting everyone to participate in your Brucha. And when exactly three people are mechiyev together to with the Chiyuv Zimun, I will not get into because it's a machlokes rishonim that I haven't entirely understood, but suffice it to say that it involves the Gemura that we had 3 days ago, of when they were on their way back from the Levaya from Rav, and they wanted to know whether they can bench bezimin on the way back. There's a whole discussion what it takes to have a chiyuv to be able to be mezamen, what it takes to be able to be mezamen. Some cases will be discussed in this sigya, but in general the sigya isn't here. Tosfos touches on it. So the Mishnah is going to discuss cases of zimun, and agavirche, the Gemara is going to, the Mishnah is going to discuss edge cases in which you might think you shouldn't be able to be mezamen, but that you can, or cases where you think that you can't, you can but you can't. And most of these cases are cases when a person ate a duva, something that seems to be a duva usa, and a person who eats a duva usa is machlokes rishonim. Either they can't even bench, which is why they can't make zimun, or they have to bench even though they were over an avayra, but they can't. But they still can't be mezamen. The machlokes rishonim here, Rambam and Rashi hold that you can't make a bucha at all. The Ravad and the Rosh hold that you can make, that you need to make a bucha, even though it's a bucha, a mitzvah abu b'avayra, and the bucha has an avayra in itself, but you can't be mezamen. All the cases in the Mishnah are things that you might think that it counts as an avayra, and therefore you can't be mezamen or can't bench at all. But the Mishnah tells us a chiddush that you can. So, shloisha she'achli ka'achas chayuv mezamen.
He was making a point to the Rebbeinu Shalom.
It's not a fully cooked piece of bread.
Huh?
Not a full piece of bread.
It wasn't even full. It wasn't even a
Well, there actually is.
Right.
There's a discussion in the Paskim, according to the Shittas, I believe we Paskim like, that you do not make a bucha on a duva usa. What about when you are mitta to eat a duva usa, b'shas pekir nefesh, are you then allowed to make a bucha on it? And zimun also.
That's
Should
what
you?
I presume we're talking about.
No, apparently we're talking about even be'issa, or b'shoigig. Eat a duva usa b'shoigig, and you realize afterwards, should you bench? Three people that ate together as one, again, as one, subject to definitions, are mechiyev with zimun. Uchol demai, someone who eats demai. Again, in short, trimus amasris, you have after the growing cycle of whatever crop it is finished. You are mechiyev b'maser b'trimme gedoyle. Trimme gedoyle, which midaraisa is a shia mashi that you give to a kohen, and the katrila you should give up to a 50th or a 40th of the tviyah. Then you're mechiyev b'maser rishon to the Levi, of which the Levi needs to give to the kohen a tenth of that as trimus maser, and then there's maser shiny, which is yours, but you need to take it. You need to take it to Yerushalayim, or be poida it, and then use the money that you were poida the maser shiny with, and then buy more food in Yerushalayim, and that has kiddushes maser shiny. So ochel demai, someone who eats demai, which is tviyah of an amuretz that we do not know whether he took whether he took maser rishon or not, because trimme he probably did take, but with the rabbunan we were goiza to be choishish that maybe he didn't take maser rishon. We'll see we'll see later when the Gemara discusses this what the chiddush is here. A maser rishon shenitl trimusa, or maser rishon that had its trimme taken from it, which again this is outright a dover hamita. What is the chiddush? Again, this is a sigi later. Maser shiny vehekdesh shenifti, maser shiny or hekdesh, both of which have the property that they're usa to eat, at least in certain cases, and you can be poida, you can redeem it with your from yourself by using your own money, and then the money gets the kedusha, and the food is chilun and it's mitta again. What is the chiddush? Is a sigi later. This case is not als dover usa. This is when you have a servant serving the meal, and he eats a kazayas while you are eating with you. You can add him to the zimun. V'hakiti, and this is a case of kitty, meaning literally a kitty, not a censorship for a goy. This means a kitty from the nation of the kittim. All of these cases, mizamna nulav, you are allowed to include them for zimun, even though each has its own reason why you would think that you are not allowed to.
Kitty is claiming to be Jewish, or what?
This is a kitty. This is a, exactly, and this mission is following the shit that they are yidden midaraisa. Yeah. Uchal tevel, on the other hand, someone who eats tevel, which is a dover usa. Again, what is the chiddush? To be seen later in a daf or two. Maser rishon shaloi nitla trimusa, maser rishon that did not have trimme taken from it. Maser shiny vehekdesh shaloi nifti. Shamish and a shamish uchal puchas mikazai. So this outright this is no chiddush. The Rishonim say this is just mentioned for symmetry with the Rashi. Someone who doesn't eat a kazayis can't bench with you, obviously, because he's not mechiyev in benching. Bahanochi and the goy. This is an ultimate case of what is the chiddush here. The Gemara gets to it. Ein mezamen ulav, you can't be mezamen with them. Nushim v'avudim ektanim, nushim, avudim, and ketanim. Ein mezamen lion, you can't be mezamen with them, including them as part of the cheshbon of your zimun. Whether they can answer and be yotze with the zimun of 3 men is a discussion on Umad Bais in the Rishonim. Ad kama mezamnen, until how much can you be mezamen? That is to say, how much do you need to eat together to be able to be mezamen? And for that matter, it's the exact same machlokes to bench. Ad kizayis, you need a kizayis. Rabbi Hidoime, ad kibaya, you need at least a kibaya, which, depending on which shit in the Rishonim you hold like, is 2 or 3 kizayis. From where do we learn that there's such a concept as zimun? And the Gemara is only going to address this. Really, where's there a concept that you invite 3 people, one person invites the other 2 to make a brucha? Umar Ravasa, the Umakru, it says in the Pusik, and the Rishonim say this is a hanasmachte. This is not a literal drash. Gadli Lashem iti, make the Eibishter great with me in the Roim Mushmayachtav, and we will then praise him together. So one person is telling 2, praise him with me, 1 plus 2, and together we will continue later with benching. We learn from here, similar drash, Ki Shaim Hashem Ekru, I will call the name of Hashem, give praise to our God by answering to me. How do we see that a person who answers umain shouldn't say it louder than the person making the bucha? Also from this pasuk, Sheneima Gadli Lashem Iti in Romu Shmoy Yachtov. The key word being Yachtov, together. Don't try to outdo the person who made the bracha. Similar limit. Umar Rab Shimon ben Pazi. Now, this refers to them. There is a machlokes rishonim again, whether this refers to Kriyas Torah, where there used to be a balkoira, which was whoever had the aliyah, and the matargim, the person who said the targim of what you just said, or this refers to a drusha of in the times of the Tanuim and Amaruim, the darshan said the drusha, and the matargim would repeat what he said louder, possibly explaining what he said. So let's go with the pashtus here that it refers to Kriyas HaTorah. How do we know that the matargim, the translator, can't raise his voice louder than the balkoira? Shenema as in the pusik, Moshe Yedaber v'likim yanani bekol, and the Eibishter would help him with his voice, with a voice. Ein Talmud loyma bekol. What is bekol teaching us? Mal Talmud loyma bekol, bekoile shel Moshe. Koil means with the koil of Moshe. So the Eibishter would help Moshe Rabbeinu with the voice of Moshe. So with the pasuk, there's a machlokes. Who in this scenario is the koira and who is the matagim? At first thought, the Eibishter is the one teaching the Torah to Klal Yisrael, and Moshe Rabbeinu is transmitting the message. So Moshe Rabbeinu is the matagim. On the other hand, Moshe was the one speaking, and the Eibishter was answering him b'kol. So you could say that the Eibishter is the matagim. There are different translations of this Gemara that follow both ways. According to we'll follow Tosfos here, that the Pushat Pshat, the Eibishter was the Koira, Moshe Rabbeinu was the matagim, and of course the Eibishter has no limit to the capabilities of his voice. But in this case, the Eibishter only needed Moshe Rabbeinu to hear him, because Moshe Rabbeinu was the one telling it to Klal Yisrael. So the Eibishter could have been as quiet as he wished to be. But instead, he was at the level of Moshe Rabbeinu's voice, so that Moshe Rabbeinu would not be louder than him. From this we see that Moshe Rabbeinu shouldn't have been louder than the Eibishter, because the matargim, the person that repeats the message, shouldn't be louder than the koira, which in this case is the Eibishter.
What language, when the matargim was saying it, what language did he normally use?
Well, if it refers to Kriyas HaTorah, it was Aramish.
So they changed the language, but it was Aramish, but they learned it in Lashon Kodesh.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
that was matargim. When Kadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe spoke, what language was it?
Well, if you follow the pshat that I just of Tosfos, then it's all Lashon Kodesh. The Mashu again, matargim really means the one who interprets, repeats, spreads it to the crowd. But according to the Mashu, when you reverse it, the Eibishter was literally the matargim, because Moshe Rabbeinu could only say the Asayas Adibris and Lashon Kodesh, and it says that by Matan Torah, the Eibishter said it simultaneously Shivim Lashonis. So the Eibishter was the matargim, and Moshe Rabbeinu was the koira.
I think the context over here is they were in Shemaim and they were learning, their Rosham was teaching.
This is by Matan Torah down on earth, not afterwards.
So what is the context exact? This was Matan.
This is the Asayas Adibris.
So, but the situation was that Moshe Rabbeinu was speaking to all of Klal Yisrael, and the Rosham was just speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu. So
That's Tosfos pshat. That's Tosfos pshat. Yeah.
Yeah. So how can he be speaking in the same level of
So Tosfos says
decibel level?
that really the Eibishter could have Kivayuchel whispered it into Moshe Rabbeinu's ears. He's only dictating to him the words that he needs to say.
Right.
But then you would have a problem, since Moshe Rabbeinu had to al derech nes, be able to be loud enough for all of Klal Yisrael to hear. That means he's speaking much louder than the one who's speaking to him. So the Eibishter had to be as loud. We darshan from the pusik bekol that the Eibishter needed to be as loud as Moshe Rabbeinu. This was so that Moshe Rabbeinu would be as loud as he needed to be. Otherwise, he wouldn't.
Without tripping over the max. Without tripping over the max.
We'll see. We'll see in a moment. The reverse is also true.
When he went to court, yesterday was his find me a Yiddish interpreter. It would take months for this was every language, every person heard it in every.
We see in a moment. The reverse is also true. Tani Nam Hoche. We learned this in the Brais as well. Eine Matagim Rishai lag bi a koiloi yoyser min hakoyre. The Matargim is not allowed to raise his voice louder than the koyre. But if the Matargim, if we have a problem, the koyre has an easier job of raising his voice, and the Matargim can't get close to it, he also needs to be approximately at the level. He can't exceed the volume of the original koyre, but he isn't supposed to be much lower either. And if the koyre sees this, that his Matargim can't keep up with his volume, the koyre should lower his voice and line. There's a question where we learn this. Depending on whether you learn like the Mashur Tosis, you might be able to derive this also from this pusik. But fine.
The way I've always understood it. I always understood that the Rebbe, who's Mustama Zucking, right? He doesn't have the energy that everybody could hear, so could have had hundreds of Talmidim. If it was Rabbi Akiva, he had,
Interestingly, the Rambam.
So you needed to communicate it to everybody.
You need a microphone.
The Rambam.
They were acted as the
Get Rabbi Blaustein up there.
The Rambam learns like you do when it comes to this. The Rambam holds that the Matargim is supposed to be louder than the koyre. This is only when the Rambam learns that this refers to a Matargim by a drusha, and by the drusha, the Matargim, his purpose is to be louder. But the Matargim is also supposed to address the shalos of the olam to the baldarshan. And when he returns to the baldarshan, he should not, and he says the question out loud, he should not speak louder than the voice of the darshan. That's the way the Rambam learns the Sigya, apparently. Because there's a machlokes in the Meforsher Rambam where the Rambam derives this halacha from.
But the baldarshan whispered. That's my question. Because if nobody understood,
Not whispered, no.
He didn't whisper.
No, he didn't whisper. He spoke at whatever his normal level of voice was. Yeah. Now back to Zimun. Itma. Shnayim she'achli ka'achas. Two people that ate together. Now, the Mishnah says that three people that ate together can be mezamen, and sometimes, sometimes are mechiyev bezimun. That's the whole machlokes, Rishonim, Tosos, and Rabbi Yonah, exactly when. But all of this refers to three people eating together. Shnayim she'achli ka'achas. Two people that ate together. Plige Rav Rabbi Yochanan. The machlokes Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. And we'll see who says what later in the Sugya. Chadoma, one of them said, if they wanted to make zimun, they can be mezamen. Even three are obligated, but two are mitta to make zimun. Chadoma, one said, if they wanted to be mezamen, I'm mezamen, they can't be mezamen. And we'll see later if they can even be yotze berches amuzen, one from the other. If one person can be moitze, another person berches amuzen lekatchila without zimun. Nan. It said in the Mishnah, three that ate together are mechiv to be mezamen. Shloisha and three are shnayim loy, two aren't. The Gemara, husam choive, as we said, there it's referring to an obligation. Huche, here rishis. Here we're discussing whether they even have the option of doing so. Tushma, another raya from either Brachos or Mishnah, depending on the girsa. Shloisha she'achla ka'achas, three that eat together, chayuv lezamen, have a chiv zimun. V'ain reshuin lechulek, and are not allowed to split up. So once there's a chiv of zimun, you can't break up a group and then be puta from zimun. This refers to when you have 10, you can't break up into two groups of 5, because then you go down in one level of zimun because you don't say buach lekaini. And the same refers to 3 that eat together. You're not allowed to separate into a group of 2 and 1 who are not mechiv b'zimun. So we'll go with Rashi's explanation of what the Gemara sees from this. So if you have 3 people that eat together, one can't separate because the other 2 will lose zimun. But if you say that 2 people are allowed to make zimun on their own, then they don't lose zimun. Fragt the Gemara, shloisha en, shnayim loy. 3 people can make zimun, 2 can't. That's why one is not allowed to separate from a group of 3. No, there is different. There is a lekatchil when you have a chiyuv of zimun, even if you can be mezamen without one of the group, you're not allowed to remove the chiyuv of zimun, as Rashi says, gud lahem mitzvah v'oisa mishayim mitzvah v'oisa. To have the chiyuv of zimun is much greater. Tushma, hashamish shoy mishamish shnai. If you had a shamish who was serving 2 2 people. So together they're 3. Haraisa oichel emuim. He can eat with them, even if they haven't explicitly given him permission to eat with them. If he was serving 3 people, he can't eat with them, except if they gave him permission. So the point being that since both the server and those being served are Yidden and have a chi of zimun and would want to have the mitzvah of zimun, we assume that when there are 2 of them and one server, together they'll have a chi of zimun, and that they want that, and that therefore they allow him to share from their food. As opposed to when there are 3 of them already, since they already have a chi of zimun, he can't assume that he allows them, that they allow him to share their food. Shana Husam, the Gemara says there it's different. The nicheli, the mikveli b'choive. It's better. We can assume that they prefer to have a chiv of zimun. Again, no one argues that with less than 3 there is no chiv of zimun. So you can't bring a raya that 2 people aren't mechiv b'zimun, because 2 people can't be mezamen, because even if they can, they would like to have a chiv of zimun, which they can only achieve once there are 3 eating together, and therefore we can assume that they want the shamash to eat with them. Tushma, another raya from the Mishnah. Nushim, or is this our Mishnah? No, this is. I'm not sure if it's a Mishnah or Brachos. Nushim mezamnes la'atzmon. Women can make zimun for themselves. We saw in the Mishnah already that they do not join men's zimun. At least they don't count towards the 3 of men making zimun. Vavudim nushim mezamnes la'atzmon. Women can make zimun on their own, 3 women together. And vavudim, slaves mezamnes la'atzmon. Nushim vavudim ektanim. Women together with slaves and together with children, imrutzi lezamen, even if they would like to make zimun, ein mezamnen, can't make zimun together. 100 women, when it comes to zimun, following Rashi's Tosis learns differently, count like 2 men. Why? Because no matter how many women you have, they can make zimun. So they're more than a person on his own, because one person on his own obviously can't be mezamen, but they are not mechiyav b'zimun, as the Mishnah says. Again, this is a machloikis, but this is the way Rashi learns the Gemara. Eketune, and we see nusha mezamnes la'atzmon, that women can make zimun on their own, vavudim mezam la'atzmon, even though haluchadik they're equivalent to many women and many avudim are equivalent to 2 men. We see that it seems to say that they can be mezamen. Shana husam the ikkedayis. When it comes to zimun, even though they're not mechiyev, they at least have dayis. They are separate b'nai das, separate intelligent people. So 3 people, 3 women, 3 slaves are as chushev at least as 3 men. Maybe not l'inyan chiyev, but they're as chushev as 3 men when it comes to counting as being able to be mezamen. But you can't, even though haluchadik they're no different than 2. When it comes to other haluchas, you can't say that we see from this that they can be mezamen. Sure. Yes. We see later from the this is a sigi later. It's the combination of nushim with any of those sets of 3 together, which as the Gemara says here in short in a moment. I'm a cipher, and really this kasha has nothing to do with our discussion. But I'm a cipher. Let's see the cipher. Nushim avudim imrutz lezamen ein mezamen. Women and avudim, if they want to be mezamen, can't be mezamen. Amaylo, you wickedayas. There are enough separate intelligent people that they count as 3 to be able to be mezamen. Shana husa mishim precisa. It's a pritis. Really, ikerdin they would be allowed to, but Chazal asked it because Chazal didn't want women and avudim and ketanim, any of these 3, to spend time eating a meal together. Mishim pritis, as Rashi explains.
So maybe I missed it. So why can't nashim and a nashim? Why can't they count as a zimun? In other words, if you're telling me that nashim are counted like 2 men, so if I have 100 nashim and 1 man, they should be able to be mezamen. Unless you're telling me it's pritzes too, but that's not mashma from the Gemara.
I think the issue here is that the chi of zimun guma was only given to men. I'm not entirely sure why, especially when Medina the Gemara. It's a machloek. Some Rishonim learn that 3 women have a chi of guma to be mezamen. But apparently it's like, as with tefillah, the ikar chiyuv is with men, and you can't be mitzaref the women to the men when it comes to that. I did not see anyone.
So that means their level of chiyuv must be different.
Must be different, yeah. Rasha holds that there is no chiyuv of zimun. For example, there's a machlokes Rasha and Tosfos here. Rasha holds there is no chiyuv of zimun for women, no matter how many. It's always optional. Nushim avudim, it's always optional. That's what, according to Rasha, 100 are like 2 means.
Which is optional.
Yeah,
Right.
always like 2. That it's optional. But they definitely what the Mishnah is coming to tell us is that they don't count together with the men. You can't add them up together. What should women do? L'maaseh b'zmanayni. The minig is that they are listen to zimun and are yotze. In the times of the Rishonim, this was problematic because very few women understood any Lushan Kodesh. And as Tosfos and many Rishonim hold that with most things you aren't yotze if you don't have any idea of what's being said. The exception is the Megillah, for example. The Megillah you're yotze even if you don't and Lushan Kodesh, even if you don't understand a word of the Megillah, you're yotze. But with benching, many Rishonim hold, benching zim and other brachos, you're only yotze if you have some understanding. And the times of the Rishonim, women did not understand benching at all, and this is why Tosfos found it problematic that some women would be yotze from the men's benching.
But he held that they were benched on their own. Tosfos didn't hold that they have a chiyuv of benching on their own.
Yes, but even if they have a chiyuv of benching on their own,
they don't understand it.
they could be yotze from men if they would be able to understand. Yeah. As Tosfos says, there were certain families of Rishonim in which the women used to make the zim bekvias. Rabbi Avuam has Tosfos the shver of Rabbi Yehuda me Paris. Where was I? This time the Rav Uma im Rutzel Zamnaim Zamnet. We had a machlokes Rav Rabbi Yochanan regarding 2 people whether they can be mezamen, and we with no mention of who said what. Tistayim determined that Rav is the one that said im Rutzel Zamnaim Zamnen, that they have the right to make zimun if they wish to. That they do not have the right to make zimun if they wish to. The Umar Rav Dima Bar Yosef, Umar Rav Dima Yosef said in the name of Rav, Shloishu she'achlike achas, 3 people that ate together as one, v'yutz achad mem neshik, and one of them left in the middle of the meal. He left to the street, and they want to be mezamen. Koiren lo, they call him in mezamnen ulov, and they can make a zimun with him, as I believe we see later in the Sigya. This means he doesn't even have to come back. He just has to turn around in the street. He hears them, and he answers. The reason that they can do this, the koiren loy, that they can still call him. Who loy koiren loy? If they would not be able to call him anymore, he's out of sight. Loy, they can't make zimun because there are only 2 of them left. So you see, you have 2 people who want to be mizamen and they can't. So from this, I can prove that Rav is the one that holds that 2 people together can't make zimun. But again, the answer is as before. Shana husam ikbili b'choive. There is different. They had a chiyuv, and ma'ikura from the beginning. They lose their status of having a chiyuv zimun, which is what they want. Elu, on the other hand, tis time. Let's have a raya. The Rabbi Yochanan yidu uma emrutil zamen ein mezamen. If they want to be mezamen, they can't be mezamen. I have a proof that it's Rabbi Yochanan who says that. Rabbi Yochanan, shnaim she'achlike achas. If you have 2 people together without zimun, one can be yotze from the other one's brucha. And we asked, my kamash malan, what's the chiddush that one person can be yotze with another person's brucha? If you'll tell me that the chiddush is that you're yotze even without answering umayin, there's already a brayse that that answering umayin is only a lekatchila. Whenever you have a chiyuv to be yotze, you're trying to be yotze from someone else. If you didn't make umayin, you're still yotze. There might be some exceptions, but in general, this is the rule. Umar Reb Zaire, and Reb Zaire explained the mama of Rabbi Babachuna Umar Rabbi Yochanan. The chiddush is loima sha'ain birchas hazimun b'nayim. That Rabbi Babachuna Umar Rabbi Yochanan is telling us that 2 people that ate together are yotze birchas hamuzin, but there is no chiyuv zimun. There's only birchas hamuzin, but no birchas hazimun. This time. So we actually conclusively proved that Rabbi Yochanan is the shitta that holds that two people can't make zimun, and therefore we now know that Rav is the shitta that holds that two people together can. Yeah, but here the whole we proved from Rab Zaira that the whole point of Rabbi Yochanan's memra was to say that there is no zimun, not just no chiv. Rashi explains exactly what the diak is. That there is no zimun even if they want to. Rav Bar Rav Hinna le Rav Hinna. Rav Bar Rav Hinna said to Rav Hinna, "Vu Rabunan usim marova amre." Here in Buvel, the Rabunim that come from Eretz Yisrael tell us, they say that the halucha is imruti lezamen mezamnen, that if two people wish to make zimun, they can make zimun. My love, the Shmiel and Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was Muradar of the Yisrael. He was the Rebbe of all of Eretz Yisrael, as we see in the Yerushalmi all the time. Can't we assume that the Amruim from Eretz Yisrael that come here and paskin that you are allowed to make zimun are paskening like Rabbi Yochanan? No, the Shmiel and Rav mekamed nuchas leBuvel. They are following the psak of Rav, who once lived in Eretz Yisrael before he came to Buvel. So that's where they get the halacha from. So Rav is the shitta that holds you are allowed to make zimun with only two people, and Rabbi Yochanan is the one that holds you are not. Gife Umar Rav Dima bar Yosef. We mentioned earlier the member of Rav Dima bar Yosef, Umar Rav. Shloisha zach like achas, three people ate together, v'yutza echad mem neshik, and one left the street. Koiren loy, they call him, imazamna lulav, and with that alone, that suffices to be able to make zimun. If they call him, he hears, as Abaye says explicitly, Umar Abaye v'hida kurla v'una. That applies only if they call him and he can still answer. He's close enough that he hears them and he can answer them. V'uma mazitre, said mazitre, v'le amren, this only applies eile b'shloisha, when it comes to zimun with three. Al ba'asura, when you have 10 and you want to say bu'cha lekaini, and one person leaves, him being able to be called and answering is not enough. Adenaise, only if he comes back. Maskela Ravasha. Asked Ravasha, Adarabba, Ipcha Mestapa, the Svura is the other way around. Tisha, 9 people, Nirim Kasura, look roughly like 10. So you really haven't lost much by one separating from the group, if they can still be counted together. By when you have 3 and 1 left, it's obvious that you no longer have the original group of 3. Even so, Hilchas Mazitre, the halucha is like Mazitre. We have a different svura. My time, given the bualat kira shem shemayim, since we need the chiyuv here is shem shemayim, butz masura lav oyer arim. Less than 10, like every dover shebekadisha, is not their cheretz. So we need mamish a group of 10. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like have a minion whether when can you count the 10th or haluchas when one is outside of the room when you count him with the other 9. I'm assuming it's similar, that he has to.
After Shimon Esrei, if you need to, if the 10th man leaves, you can still say Kaddish, right?
Yeah, but there it's because you had minion.
You had a minion, you left. Isn't that the same case here? You had a minion.
No, but Zimun never even began.
Oh,
They are personally mechiyev b'zimun perhaps from when they started eating, but the actual zimun, there by davening, it always goes each segment according to when that segment begins. I think Brachos Krishma. I think if you had many for Brachos Krishma, it continues to Shemoneh Esrei. I'm not sure. Maybe it stops for Shemoneh Esrei. It goes segment by segment.
What's the machlokes here about nirin kasora?
Yeah.
That means that if it looks like 10, it's okay. So no, I think by minion there's a similar halacha.
Yeah, there is
9
a
spread out as opposed to 9 together. If it looks like 10.
I think that sugya is coming in a few blocks.
That's right.
I don't know. Rashi just has besvura that 9 people can't tell the difference between 9 and 10.
So somebody coming by, you can have a minion less than 10. No, they have a minion in there. That's the.
I guess. I'm not sure. Umar Abaye, Naktinan. Now that we've discussed what the story is, we see that according to Rabbi Yochanan, 2 people can't be mezamen. The Gemara is going to go further than this. Umar Abaye, Nektinan, Shnayim she'achlik achas, 2 people that ate together, mitzvah laichulek. It's a mitzvah for them to separate not only Le'ini and Zimun, but now Zimun, part of the mitzvah of zimun is that you make zimun and that you're yotze from the mazamen Brachos Hamuzin. At least from the next plot, we'll see how far lekatchila you should be yotze. And there's a whole discussion in Paskim nowadays that we've stopped being yotze Brachos Hamuzin from each other by benching. This is the end of the later Rishonim. People stopped. You find that in the Tchimas Hadeshin, Bucharim especially, during benching would talk while they needed to be yotze Brachos Hamuzin, so they couldn't be yotze, so they made a takuna that people should stop being yotze Brachos Hamuzin from the mazamen and making Brachos Hamuzin on their own, which is problematic because lekatchila Brachos zimun really requires you to be yotze at least the first bracha from the person making zimun. But in any case, with two people together, where you don't have zimun, not only says Abaye, don't you have zimun, but you shouldn't even lekatchila be yotze the bracha one from the other. Tani nam hucha, we learned this in the Brachos as well. Shnayim shachlik achas, two people that ate together. Mitzvah lechulik, it's a mitzvah for them to separate. That is to bench entirely on their own. When is that said? Kishnayim sofrim, when both are talmidei chachumim. One Mishnah is sofer means a talmid chachum. Aval echad sofer, one is a sofer, a talmid chachum ve'echad bo, and one is an amuretz, and therefore it doesn't know benching well. Sofer mevurach, the talmid chachum benches. Ibo yotze and amuretz is yotze from him. But lekatchila, when two people who are capable of benching on their own are eating together, they should bench separately and not be yotze one from the other. Umarove, hu milze amrita anu. There's something that I said it. And it is also said in the name of Reb Zaira Kivusi, like me. I'm assuming his point is that he said something and he's happy to see that another Amoira says it as well. Three people that ate together. And three people ate together and two of them want to finish eating early and they want to bench and make zimun. The one that still wants to eat, mafsik, should be mafsik l'shnayim for the other two. The ein shnayim, the reverse is not true. Ein shnayim mafsikim deichad. Two people should not stop for one. It's not deicheretz. The two with the one that wants to leave. No, it's not. This is a chiyuv on the one to stay.
No, yeah.
He has to stay.
He has to stay. It's not deicheretz for him to try to be mezamen early. Now, from this we also see from the mafsik, I believe this is where we see the thing that you can be yotze zimun and then continue eating. If someone wants to leave early, the ones that want to be mezamen make zimun, and you wait till he finishes until Brachos Hazan, where the ikka mitzvah zimun, as we'll see later, is, and then you continue.
1 minute. Are you suggesting that he doesn't have to bench again?
No, zimun. At least he was yotze his chiyuv zimun. Yeah, but since zimun isn't complete until Brachos Hazan, he has to wait till Brachos Hazan.
Maybe he could be yotze.
But then how can he keep eating? Yeah.
Because he's being pre-yotze.
I believe there's some of the go'inim that hold of such a concept that there are sometimes bucha achronis that you can be yotze before the bucha rishona, but very.
This is not the reverse.
No, there's there.
He's just making
I understand.
a little.
I think there's a shittus go'inim that holds that the koshel bucha after Brachos Hamuzin, you're yotze the bucha achrona of that cost with Brachos Hamuzin. I'm not sure about that. I think there is such a shittus go'inim that's not accepted l'halacha. But anyways, no, I'm not. Stop. Yeah, I'm not sure about that though. But in any case, this is more of a hilchos de'acheretz thing. Two people don't have to stop their sida for one, but one can stop for two, and we'll see in a minute that really this we'll see in a minute that's in Yaakov. Fragt die Gemurre veloy, and you can't. Wo Rav Puppe ifsiklai la Abba Mure berai. Rav Puppe was once eating with his son Abba Mure, and the Gemurre says Ihi v'chad, and there was a third person there, and he paused his sida for his son Abba Mure, who wanted to bench. Shana Rav Puppe is different to Lifnim Mashir Sadin he did. He did Lifnim Mashir Sadin really two people don't have a chiyuv to stop for one. Rav Pupa was, yeah, they can. They have the right to, but there is no requirement of decency for two people to stop for one. But one person should stop for two. These three Amaruim, who were all peers to each other, the same age, and equivalent in their Gedilla B'Teure, they ate bread together, and they had an interesting shalom. None of them was particularly greater than the other two. That he should bench, because the usual assumption is, except we'll see Balabayis, sometimes it's different, but when three people come together or a group of people come together, you're supposed to be Machabad benching to the greatest one of them. And there was no obvious front runner. They asked the Shala, who the Tan this is that the Mishnah says that three people that ate together have a Chiyav Zimun. That's only when there's a great man between them. Here we're all equal. Perhaps it is better for each one of us to bench on their own. As we saw before, with two people when they're equal should bench separately. Perhaps this is true even with three in such a case. Every person benched on his own. They didn't know what to do, so they all benched on their own. And then they went to ask Maraima, who was the father of one of them, to ask him the Shala. You were yotze benching. You weren't yotze zimun. You had, in other words, you had a chiyav zimun. And benching together, because you all consider yourselves equals, is not the equivalent of zimun. Now perhaps you'll be mezamen after benching. You can't be mezamen backward. And I'm not sure what the chiddush is here, since the whole nature of zimun is preparing to make a brucha.
So did he give him a practical answer of how
the answer is you weren't yotze zimun. In other words, you had a chiyav, but you weren't yotze.
Figure it out.
Draw straws. But you told me draw straws. But if you tell me the chiyav of zimun is to figure out who the gadol is, and I can't figure it out, so I can't have the answer.
That's only like a chila. If they held that the gudel mavurach is because the gudel is the one that needs to bench, and they should be yotze from him. But from the answer we see that they have a chiyav of zimun. The gudel mavurach is only who does the kibbut go to. So whoever it is, you have to be mezamen. If you can't choose a gudel, it'll have to be someone.
Right. Yeah. And they can't. There's the concept of everybody benching, of everybody being mezamen.
Everybody being mezamen makes no sense. Yeah. You can't say gadli lashemiti when each one is being megadol on his own. A person comes and finds a group of people being of benching, preparing to bench, being mezamen. What does he answer? Rav Zvid says he answers when the person says nevurach. He answers buach and vorach. He can't say shochal nim shaloi because he didn't eat. This fourth person or whatever that arrived. Rav Pupa said oina umay. He answers umay. It's not a machloikis at all. Rav Zvid refers to a person that arrives when the mezamen is saying nevurach, the first step of zimun. So he answers nevurach, we shall bench. He answers buach and mevorach, you benched. If he only arrives when they say buach shechal nim shaloi, he can't say, he doesn't say buach. He says oina umay. He answers umay. And the Geoidim add to the words of Rav Zvid, buach and vorach. Tosis quotes here, buach yem mevorach shmoi tumid le'olam vud, which is what is printed in our Sedirim, which you answer when you are not mechiyav bezimun, but are sitting with people who are mechiyav bezimun. We'll see later what happens if you actually ate with them, even if you didn't wash with them. TheAgudah, we learned in one brayse, who oina umain acha bechosav harayzem meshibach. Someone who answers umain after his own brucha is praised. Tani idoch, it says in a different brayse, harayzem megina. He is shamed, denigrated. Loy kasha, it's not difficult. Hu b'voin Yerushalayim, One refers to Boin Yerushalayim and benching. The third brucha, Hu B'Shar Bruchas, this refers to other bruchas. It's actually Machlokes Rishonim if it only refers to Boin Yerushalayim. There are some Rishonim that learn that there's only one brucha in which you're supposed to answer Umain after your own brucha, and it's Lemasa in Sadirim. This is the only one that has the word Umain written after it. Boin V'Rachma V'Yerushalayim Umain. And we'll see what the point of saying Umain after Boin Yerushalayim is in a moment. And some hold that any series of bruchas, where, as we have in benching, and this is the last one, and again we'll see why Boin Yerushalayim counts as the last one, you could answer Umain after your own bruchas, and it's a machlokes haposkim in most cases. And I believe the halucha we hold that in general you shouldn't say Umain after your own bruchas, but while we hold, for example, that you should not answer Umain when you finish a bucha together with the Bal Tefillah in general. For example, if you finish Yotza HaMoiros together with the Bal Tefillah, word for word, you should not answer Umain after the Bal Tefillah's bucha, because the result is that you answer Umain after your own bucha. However, when you reach a final bucha, since the Shittas the whole lekatchila you should make Umain, then you can still make Umain. For example, at Yishabach, if you end your Lahalucha, I think most Paskim hold that if you end Yishabach together with the Bal Tefillah, word for word, you should answer Umain.
Shechianu by Kol Nidra, who whisper together with the Chazan, but try to finish ahead of him.
There,
a little bit ahead.
not to have that problem, exactly. Not that problem of answering Umain after your own bucha. Mm-hmm.
How did you translate Maguna? You said shame?
Shame, denigrated. I'm not exactly sure what the best English translation is.
Maguna, like inappropriate?
Megina implies
This word everywhere.
is
That's how you
I know, but it's a lution nifal. It's a lution of
Maguna,
it's a passive. It's in the passive voice.
They said about Moshe, Rashi says about Moshe Rabbeinu on numerous occasions that he didn't speak Maguna, or about Klal Yisrael, he didn't speak Maguna. Seems like it's inappropriate. It's not a.
But the literal translation is
What is the literal translation?
it's from the Shor Gnai, as he said, to Gnai, to shame.
Comes from like shock, the opposite of shock.
Brachos Gnai, yeah. Praise and shame. Praise.
Done already.
Again, I'm not used to translating the Gemara into English, so I'm kind of making it up
What is
on the
Yiddish?
fly.
Tell me the Yiddish translation. We'll work it that way.
Megina.
Oh, now I understand.
Yeah, my brain is operating in two languages when I'm learning Gemara in English, so yeah, or three. So forgive me if I get confused. Look, Hu Boin Yerushalayim, Hu B'Shar Bruchas. So Abaye, so the halucha we Boin Yerushalayim you definitely are supposed to say Umain. Abaye Unelai Bekula. Abaye would say the Umain after Boin Yerushalayim out loud. Ki Haiche de Lishme Pa'alim, so that the Pa'alim workers, who, as we see in the Gemara, in many cases were obligated contractually to work every minute of the day to whoever they had contracted themselves to for that day, and they're allowed to bench, but Chazal were not machayev them to bench the fourth bucha, which was instituted later at a later point. So he would, when he would be benching together with workers, he would say the umain of the third bucha out loud, so they would know that they can leave now. Lishmi pa'alim v'lekimi, and as the Rishonim say that we don't have any equivalent to such a to employees that work on that level, because that's not how our contracts work. Lekimi datove maitiv lav deraisa. The fourth bucha is not the deraisa. And no, I'm not our regular Magachir, and I will not go off on the tangent on this.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Regards. Rav Asher unelai v'lechishe. Rav Asher would say it quietly, as svura verkehrt. Ki heiche de loine zalzli batove maitiv. Hatove maitiv, even if it's not the deraisa, is a chush of a bucha, and he was worried that if he would say it out loud, people would be mezalzel in hatova maitiv, so he would say it quietly. We have time to continue. Yeah.
Just Tim, what would benching take place at this time? What would happen? They would bench.
In the times of Chazal,
would bench,
and everyone would be yotze would listen to his bucha and be yotze.
and he would say
Hazan until all the way till the end, till not Ali Chasraini, as we'll see later. Their hatova maitiv was significantly shorter, but until the end of whatever their fourth bucha was.
And everyone just listened, be Chazaras Hashatz, if you will.
Yeah, and Hurachamons and everything afterwards were added in the times of the Achronim.
Shkoyach, thank you.
Sorry, do you let them say Tov?
Back on,
You make me go back.
exactly